We wanted to take this opportunity, after listening to all the panel, listen to everybody here, to take stock, look forward at the future, draw some conclusions here. For me personally, despite not having slept in the past week, this is a very, very energizing day. We see the breadth, the width, the depth of the collaboration, of the impact we are building together in many of the people that are in this room. But it is very important to listen to what Guilherme and Henri can tell us. Because this morning, Guilherme will tell you what is going on. And also, I'm so happy to see Henri Verdier joining the Inria Foundation to lead the foundation that hosts us currently. We have been knowing each other for a while, and having somebody that has always spearheaded the digital commons is really a fantastic opportunity to work together. So maybe, Guilherme, you may start with your announcement or precision or stock taking the bottom line of this day, and then we will ask Henri.
Sure, thank you very much, Roberto. Hello, everyone, again. I didn't have any breakups recently, but my shrink is occupied because I'm very concerned, and I guess as many of you here, that some of the concepts we have discussed during this day, openness, transparency, accountability, are unfortunately under attack. These very systems that we have created with a lot of effort in the last many decades are now being questioned, and not the useful constructive criticism that these things being questioned is okay, but is an evil questioning, trying to undermine these kind of principles with vested interests. So the first thing is that, in terms of conclusion, that we need to recognize that the challenge is very big. And there is just one way of facing it, that is together, collectively. But recognizing that's not easy, and that we will need a lot of energy to deal with this very complex moment we are facing. So this is the first thing. The second thing is that I think it's, as I said in the morning, for those that were here in the first part, it's a very good development, as Omar also mentioned in his panel, that we as UN system and others, we are underlining this overall idea that what we are discussing here are digital public goods. I mean, the theory behind public goods in general and public and commons, it's a very important theory because it has a long history on what is needed to enact relevant policies to protect these public goods and these commons, and as I said in the morning, to not fall into the tragedy of the commons. But this is not a given. The fact that we are saying those things are public goods doesn't mean that they are protected as such if we don't do what is necessary to enact this kind of policy. So this is my second message. We need to really make sure that we are not just offering them a nice label. We are doing what is necessary to protect them as common goods and avoid the tragedy of the commons. And this leads me to maybe my last point that I guess is a bit more positive, that what we are trying to do here together with Software Heritage, with Inria, with all of you, that is announcing this idea of having a 5-year program, where precisely the heart is, these are public goods and we need to actually work in some critical pillars to guarantee that these public goods are protected, and protected for the different constituencies that in the case of UNESCO are our mandate, for the education sector, for the science sector, for the AI, digital technologies, bigger sector, and so on. This is what we are envisaging with this, and we will put all our efforts, but we can't do this alone. Final thing, we have been noticing, when I say we in the multilateral system, but I guess some of you in this room, if not all of you, will agree with me, that there is a recent tendency to try to put as opposites the idea of innovation and the idea of protecting and promoting human rights. We should really be very tough in fighting against this kind of narrative. We innovate if we are able to protect the human rights of everyone. If we are not doing that, we are not innovating, we are doing another thing. So our job is how we innovate, of course this is very important, but without compromising in the protection and promotion of the human rights of every individual. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Guilherme. That's very inspiring and actually resonates a lot with everything we have been doing in the team for these past 10 years. And Henri, I'm very happy to give you the floor.
I'm a bit hesitating because it's not time to launch a controversy, I think. I could sign what you said, except that we should not quote this stupid book, The Tragedy of Commons, which is not a scientific book. The truth is that people were expelled violently from the commons by the primitive capitalism. They did not overuse the commons. So this book was a book of propaganda for a certain political view, but everything you said is completely great, and I totally agree. So sorry. Do you agree with this? No.
This was done on purpose to wake you up after all this.
We are late. I cannot really conclude because you have said everything. Roberto did ask me to seize this opportunity to introduce myself as the new director of Fondation Inria. So that's a pretty cool job, of course, because now I chair the house that houses software heritage. So that's a good job. We have other projects. So during Christmas holidays, PlantNet did join us too. And you will see soon more and more projects because we want to build a safe space maybe and a structure to help and to nurture a project like this one. In fact, as you did mention too, I'm already familiar with software heritage and with Roberto because I was trained as a researcher in biology long time ago. So I met Roberto and I discovered the large data commons that are so important in biology. So that was my first contact with this world. Then I was an entrepreneur for a while, but soon I became the head of the open data and open government policy for the French government. And we had first great conversation. Then I was a predecessor of Stéphanie, the state CTO, if I may. I think that I did try to introduce a lot free software and open source, but maybe code first, because maybe you don't know, but a lot of the information department from ministries are made with buyers. They have 1,000 buyers and 2 developers. So I try to say, let's do a bit ourselves. Let's relearn to code. Let's open the box and try to understand what we are buying. And I became the French ambassador for digital affairs, and it was an interesting time. It was the 7 last years, because I was at the forefront to see sadly, the brutalization of international relations, the weaponization of digital infrastructure, the capture of our lives, and the need to fight to protect the public interest and democracy. So that's why I was so happy to join the Inria and the Inria Foundation and to work with projects like this one, not just because they are cool and important, but also because I would love to contribute to this fight, if I may. To come back in a nutshell, I think that the real history of the digital revolution is a story of open standards, open source, contribution, cooperation, peer learning, etc. That's why I said earlier, this is the first way, and then we have 2 mistakes. But the reality is an academic story of cooperation, actually. And that it did give us an unimaginable treasure trove. code, from my perspective, is like every human work, like art. This is a product of human intelligence. And the team of Software Heritage did accumulate an unthinkable treasury of intelligence. We all know in this room that we have 28 billion files. How many hours of brain work are in 28 billion files? So this is the accumulation of intelligence, and that's very important. And of course, because we are smart, this is not just a treasury. This is a treasury, but it's not just a treasury. You did build an archive, which is very important, and then you went faster than an archive. This is a resource for a lot of projects, and I know some of them. And now this is more than a resource. This is an infrastructure for very concrete projects, and we start to observe application in the field of AI, in the field of cybersecurity, and that's wonderful. But to conclude and to come back to the initial view, so that's alone an archive that becomes an infrastructure that's important enough to be there today in the UNESCO. But as I said, there were a first phase in the history of digital, and we are in different times, and you did mention it too. And my view is that just as AI experienced 3 AI winter, AI glaciation, we are living commons winter. Let's face it, the times are, the world of openness, commons, cooperation is going through a little winter, and the logic of race for power, enclosure, predation, weaponization has been very successful those times. If we see the winter of AI, it has weathered thanks to teams who persevered in France, in Canada, and then suddenly it was a spring, and they went, and the AI movement went fastly further. So I deeply believe that we also will end the winter of commons because we have no choice. This logic of brutalization, capture, war is impossible. This is not sustainable. So there will be an end of this winter. And when it will be the spring, people will say, who did persevere? Who are the projects we can build on? So to conclude, I'm pretty certain that in 10 years, for the 20th anniversary, we'll be there, but we'll be again in another world. And some people will say, Roberto and the contributors to Software Heritage, they persevered. So thank you.
Thanks a lot, Henri, for these words that actually really touch us a lot. Everybody, now you start knowing me. I know that you know that I tend to speak too much, but now we really do an effort to stop here, because I can just say something. I mean, 10 years were super intense, not easy. When you build something like this, and you are not building a company, you are not proposing an exit at times 100, times 1,000, getting people to support what you do, persevering when you have changes in management, changes in policy, changes in funding, etc., is not an easy work. Okay, but we did it because we believe that perseverance is fundamental to get the real result. Now, what I can say is I'm extremely excited to see what the next 10 years are starting to look for like. You have seen very briefly, we are moving to an initiative that wanted to show what was possible into a common infrastructure which is already able to do some of the things that we were promising, and that requires now just enough support, funding, growth, people to actually deliver what we are already practically able to do. But to do this is not possible to do it alone. One thing that I always told to the people in my team, they know I'm kind of a strange guy. No? Usually when you are in academia, you want to have the big professor who does a front line and he ignores all the other people behind him. I really don't like it. I think we did a global effort with Stefano, Moran, David, Nicola, Marlad, and I'm sorry, I cannot list everybody. I mean, all the people in the team here, it's teamwork. And there is an old African saying that I was using, which was always Alone, you go faster. Together, you go farther. Okay, it's true, we have been going together slowly in a certain direction, but now we need to go to the next level. We need to have new friends that work with us, they bring us farther. And I think that here in this table we have new friends that can help move farther, not faster, farther, in a much powerful way. So thank you, Henri, thank you, Guilherme. And if I can paraphrase an old British politician, this is not the end of the story. It's not even the beginning of the end, but probably after 10 years, this is the end of the beginning. Okay, let's move forward. Thank you very much.